What's up, guys? It's John. You may know me as the Game Dad and the co-host and creator of SDGC, Super Deluxe Gamescast. What you might not know about me is that I really love Final Fantasy VI. Right, yeah, you already know that about me. And I wanted to stop for a minute, step back from my extremely busy schedule, and tell you a little bit about why I love Final Fantasy VI, because this is a game that means the world to me. When I first played Final Fantasy VI in 1994, I was in a bad place. I didn't have the happiest home life as a kid. I felt isolated and alone. My mom worked 3 jobs at some point. My dad drank a lot. And I was just in a really bad place. And this was the first time in my life that I ever dealt with feelings like, being suicidal or being depressed. And it was really bad. It was a really tough time in my life. And, I've said often that the things we love, it's not even so much the thing sometimes as the circumstances in our life when that thing came along. And Final Fantasy VI came along at the right time for me. And there was a very specific moment in the game where everything just fell into place. And it was, spoiler alert for a 25-year-old game, something like that. I can't do math. But after Kefka destroys the world and turns the world of balance into the world of ruin, the first character that you are reintroduced to is Celeste, and she wakes up on an island in the middle of just this polluted ocean where she thinks she's alone, but her friend and mentor Sid is there as well. Well, in the canon storyline, you can keep Sid alive by feeding him fish, but he's supposed to die. So Sid dies. And suddenly Celeste realizes that she's alone. For all she knows, she is the last human being alive on Earth. She's lost everybody that she cares about. And she is dealing with feelings of just being crushed under the weight of everything that has happened to her. So there's a cliff on the island, and she climbs all the way to the top of the cliff and realizes that, at least she thinks, that the man that she loves, Locke, our treasure hunter, is dead as well. And with that, she throws herself off the cliff, trailing tears on her way down. She attempts to commit suicide. This is the first time in any game for me where I saw a depiction of suicide. And I thought to myself, wow, this strong, powerful character that I have admired this entire time, Celeste was crushed by the weight of the world as well. She felt alone as well, and she tried to take the path of least resistance. But she's so strong. She's so, she's a general. How could she do that? And then I realized that as strong as she was still subject to the same feelings as anyone else. And suddenly I didn't feel so alone anymore. And that's a weird thing to say about a video game, right? Like a video game character could make you feel things like that, but it really did. And I felt better after that. I had already loved the game, but at that point, it became even more than a game to me. It became, I guess, sort of an awakening, and that's I loved video games before then, but at that point, that's the point where I really grew to love them and recognized and understood that video games were going to be a huge part of my life going forward, and for the rest of my life, as long as I lived. And that hasn't changed. I'm 40 years old now. And that's not the only reason I love Final Fantasy VI. I love it for the story. And Final Fantasy VI did a lot of things and pioneered a lot of things that you see present in games today, like, themes of, not just suicide, but, regicide and genocide, mass executions, the fucking apocalypse, teen pregnancy, abuse, spousal abuse. Like Final Fantasy VI dealt with some really heavy themes, especially for a game made for the Super Nintendo in 1994. It was wild just how innovative Final Fantasy VI was, and a ton of JRPGs that you can play today. You can see where Final Fantasy VI has directly influenced so many of them. That's why it's considered to be one of the greatest games of all time. I mean, certainly most people would agree that it's in the top 3 JRPGs of all time, and among the greatest games of all time. But that's why it's my favorite game. Not because of the game itself, but because it helped me in a really dark, difficult time. And so ever since then, I have played it annually, sometimes twice annually, twice a year. But I play the game a lot. It's my favorite game, and it's like, for me, it's like that movie or that book that you constantly revisit every year. You know, that thing that gives you comfort. But yeah, no, I hope you enjoy this. Stormy, thanks for the opportunity for letting me do this. And hey, happy gaming.